Hey guys, Waddler-D. We're back for a new Let's Play, and this game is one that I kind of dabbled in for a little bit, and then I got really into it. This game is Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon, and this game is the second coming of Castlevania, since Konami has literally lost their mind and put the series in a limbo state, while Iga, one of the pioneers for this series, has kind of moved on and done his own thing. And I'm really glad they did that, because this game is actually a Kickstarter stretch goal. This was not in the making with Iga's Kickstarter project. This is something that came out of people putting enough money into it to get something like this. And I'm really glad that this game exists, because this is a great introduction to what Iga is planning to throw at everybody. And as you can see, it's a very much 8-bit kind of homage, and I feel the fact that it kind of relates to Castlevania pretty early on is a good concept. And this is based off Castlevania 3, which had multiple characters, had a stage-by-stage layout, and honestly, it works really well. But enough about that, let's talk about the introduction. The introduction of this game gives you enough information, but it is also incredibly vague and kind of contrived, to be quite frank. I mean, it tells you what's happened to Zangetsu, the main character, and that he's been cursed by demons and is kind of pissed off about it. So he's just been killing every demon that he sees and anything related to demons. So one day he decides or feels a presence of a great demon, and he's like, you know what, I wanted to kill all demons, and this thing feels like a really, really good thing to kill, so I'm gonna drag myself across the country, to get to this great demon and kick its ass. That is kind of the premise of this game, and I will buy it, but it's still like, man, I don't know if it's kind of hard to really say you're here for the story, but characters might be a different story. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get to it. Alright guys, so the first level is a great introduction to what this game's going to be offering. Right off the bat, the game kind of uses these lanterns to show you what items that you'll be getting. The blue bottles are what increases your weapon energy at the top right, hearts are what restores your health if you take hits, and money bags are obviously points. Points are useful in this game because every 20,000 points you get an extra life. And yes, extra lives do kind of help to have around. As you can see, the enemies here are going to get pretty meek and pathetic. I mean, it's just literally zombies and ghosts right now. But you get a nice feel of the main character Zangetsu and what he has to offer to the player. Zangetsu is pretty much the jack of all trades. He doesn't really have any great strengths, nor does he have any glaring weaknesses, but as you progress through the game, you start to see some of the problems that plague this man, and I'm not just talking about the issues with the demons, but he does have the fastest attack animation, and he does have some solid sub-weapons. Magic charms are great for low-bound enemies, because you pretty much create a nice little fireball on the ground, and it stays there for a good second. And it's very active hitbox too, so it hits multiple times. Pretty good weapon until you try to use it on things in the air. Luckily we're dealing with rats right now, so that's not a problem. And you sometimes have these things pointing towards the right. They're trying to tell you the optimal route. You also have signs every so often. Of course, apparently this is a journal entry that Zangetsu left here, because he's getting all of this information from a damn sign. But more to the point about what we have to deal with. Sometimes we have situations where it's good to have a particular sub-weapon if you're that character. Here, the ball and chain would have been great, but since I didn't pick it up, I can't show it off, because these enemies are assholes. Because they are pretty much plaguing me with projectiles, and most of this game is you not having a projectile. Kinda sucks, but that's the way it works. So, one nice thing about this level is that there's usually a good theme going through the levels. Here, you're at a train station, going through it, kicking some face, and now we're on a train, and I love the continuity with that. That's really nice kind of theme going on with it, and it's not one that you would usually see in the first stage of the game. It's usually, I was thinking, hey, we're gonna just go through a freaking forest. Great, I already know how that's gonna be. Here, you're on a freaking train, and you get a nice backdrop where you get to see something ominous in the background, and the moon. Yes, keep an eye on the moon, because trust me, you're gonna see it a lot in this game. I mean, if it has moon in the title, it better be in the game a lot of the time. So, at the moment, we're getting some very easy platforming here, like small death pits. This game's not going to try to challenge you in the first level, but it will make you think a little bit. Here, you want to make sure you have the magic charm, because it's a nice showcase against this big dude that's taking a ton of hits. It took like 9 of those active hitbox attacks, so pretty good to note. Big heart, that heals about, I would like to say, 4 to 6 bars of health. Pretty helpful to have, but not full restoration. Oh shit, what the... Okay, so this is the first boss, Glutton Train. Glutton Train is a good first boss, because he's not very difficult, he's not very aggressive, he doesn't move, he just drags stuff, mainly these coal piles, up to his big gaping maw and eats it. The only thing you really have to worry about is you taking damage from not realizing his attacks. His attacks are pretty easy to grasp. He will use, like, rain fire down upon you after getting a nice big heaping hot coal sandwich in his mouth. Or if you're close enough, trying to do whatever you can to hit him in the face from down there, like, say, for instance, using the ball and chain, which I will say is easily one of the best anti-air sub-weapons that you'll get. And yes, anti-air is an important concept in this game. But mainly the idea is just being patient, knowing when to hit this guy and when to retreat, and keeping yourself safe from unnecessary damage, because this boss should not really be any threat to you. I mean, the only thing you really have to worry about is the falling rain and just getting too close. But once you are diligent enough in killing this guy, this happens. Whenever you see a flash of light and a boss acting kind of funny, this is what you need to know. The boss is preparing his ultimate attack. And dies. Yes, it's a desperation attack. Every boss has this. You cannot die from it, except in one or a few cases. But these bosses will usually finish themselves off in this manner. They will just use a really powerful attack and then die. It's kind of fun to see, and you can imagine it's going to be like that for the main game. But for right now, let's meet Miram. Miram is a shard binder, and apparently Zangetsu is like, dude, you're evil. I can't allow you. I'm going to have to kill you. And then Miram, being the very smart diplomatic lady, tells him that I don't use this for evil, and he's like, you better show me this. So we get an ally over some very small convincing talk, and Miram is technically the Belmont of the series, mixed with Shinoa. If you're not aware of those characters, look them up on the internet. It's your turn to do some research, but the nice thing about this character switching and just having another ally in the fight against evil is the ability to switch on command almost immediately, and that your allies are very helpful characters. Like, Zangetsu is a very limited guy. He just jumps, slashes, has a special weapon. That's it. That's all he has in his bag of tricks. Miriam is a nice demonstration of, damn, she is kind of loaded with equipment. She has a whip, so good range. She jumps high, and she can slide. So that means small spaces are no problem for her. She is definitely going to be one of your mainstays in your party because she is the most versatile character that you will get in your group, and she is pretty much can handle everything that you'll run into with ease. The only flaw that she has is the fact that she doesn't have the fastest attack. That's all. Everything else is just damn good about her. So, and the nice thing about levels in this game is that the next level where you get to use that character for the first time is a really good showing of what they are capable of and how you can make the best use of them. It's a really good level design idea. Here we're about to go to a mountainside and basically go underground. So a cave level for the second one, not bad. Here we get introduced to some new enemies that are a little bit trickier to deal with. Moving back and forth, taking a few extra hits. These guys will give Zangetsu some problems, but Miriam, having the nice long range that she has, usually takes these guys out without a problem. And if you feel like, man, the whip's not doing it all for me, she has sub-weapons that are all useful. Some more situational than others, but still useful. So Miriam, again, one of your go-to characters. There is nothing really wrong with the lass. Now you have these enemies in this little waterfall section. As you can see, some of them have glowing eyes, but some of them are just plain old lumps of black. The one with eyes are frogs that will pretty much leap in the air and ambush you, but if you're Miriam, don't have to worry about that. You literally just whip them upside the face and kill them. It's kind of nice. Now, I'm pretty sure that we need to start actually talking about these sub-weapons I was pretty much giving such praise to. Another nice showcase of Miriam dealing with this situation that Zangetsu would have more of a problem with. And now the sub-weapons. Rapier is easily one of her best sub-weapons in most situations. It hits things in the air, it's a projectile, and it comes out quick. The only flaw that it really has is that you can't hit anything in front of you with it, and to make the most of it, you need to hit them with all 3 rapiers to do the most damage. However, if you're aiming for things in the air, most of the time they're really damn weak to deal with. Daggers are probably her least useful sub-weapon. They do very weak damage, and while they're cheap to use, it's still not all that efficient. At the very least, though, it's a projectile, and trust me, if your character has access to projectiles, that's a good thing, because most of the time, you're going to be in enemies' faces. Now, anti-air is something that we talked about being very useful, and this is where it becomes very freaking useful. These bats would be quite a problem, and they just were. And Miriam's daggers, or rapiers, while good, do not handle, or do not shape up to the freaking anti-air, the ball and chain. But since we need Miriam, I gotta kill myself. Because here's what happens when you lose a character. You have to lose a life to get them back or beat the level. And right now, I need Miriam. And as you notice, I start in a much different spot than I did the last time. So if you lose a character, you move to pretty much at the beginning of a room. But if you lose a life, you go back to the last continue point, which will be a lot further away than you would expect. In this case, I kind of got lucky. It pretty much like a door away. But sometimes it'll be like a couple of screens before you start to realize, oh crap, man, I got knocked back pretty far. But here's a nice example of why anti-air is important in this game. Anti-air in these situations where you just have a platform and nothing behind you, you want to have something protect you from the air, and the ball and chain is easily one of the best weapons for that. It hits hard, it has nice horizontal range. Not as nice as, say, the sickle, but damn, it's still good. The sickle is also a great projectile. It's more superior than, say, the dagger. The only drawback is that you kind of need both hits for it to do the maximum damage, but it's still really damn good. And it has great full screen range, which is also a plus. The axe is the most situational, but it is the strongest weapon in the game, bar none. It does the most damage out of anything. And you're wondering what I picked up. It's a weapon point jar, as I'm going to call it. It ups your maximum weapon points by 10, which is useful, especially when you start having weapons that take 6 to use. That's a big drop in the amount of weapon usage that you have. But thankfully, Miriam is here to help us out. Not to mention to show off why she's so damn good. So, all in all, Miriam is definitely your go-to girl if you need to pretty much do anything in this game. Zangetsu is gonna have a tough time, especially against this guy. Vocalor is the second boss, and definitely much more active and more difficult than the glutton train that we had to deal with. Nice. He also has some mind games, like this attack. Notice how it's pretty much dropping rocks surrounding you? It's setting you up for the big drop that the boss loves to do. And that's one of the things about this boss, is pattern recognition. Once you figure out what the boss does, you will not have trouble with these bosses, or not have too much trouble. This boss definitely is a bit of a trickster, though, and has some nasty attacks that can get you quite stuck. Boss would have released all his little bubbles that he had around him there, but since we knocked them all away, not a problem. This attack is definitely one of the worst, because if you don't have Miriam, you can't slide out of the way of stuff above you trying to drop on your head. This is how you deal with that attack right there. You wait until the third time he comes down, you should be out of the way by then. So all in all, this boss isn't that bad, but definitely a step up from the glutton train. The glutton train is a joke compared to this guy. And if you recall the flash of light, boss is doing the desperation attack. You can't. This one's tough. You have to jump at the perfect time and have the boss go over your head. Best to do it with Miriam, but you don't have to dodge it. It's, like I said, you don't die from the attacks. And we get introduced to the next character. His name's Alfred. Kind of looks like an Alfred, but is he straight man? Is he a straight man? That's what I have to ask. Oh shit, you know what this means. Zangetsu's like, dude, blasphemy, you're terrible. And then Alfred's like, dude, I'm just making a living, man. I'm just using demons to get my stuff. You have your own goals, right? I can help you out. And Alfred, I will say, is a very interesting character. Definitely the opposite of Miriam, but still very useful in his own right. So we'll talk more about him next video. We're about running out of time here. So, and of course, we got the lovely signs. Apparently, this one's mass-produced, same stuff as before. And this one will tell you about Alfred and his abilities. But next time, we'll really go into depth on that. So, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and definitely try out this game when you can. It's great. Adios.